Have you ever stopped to think about what might be lurking in the vast 80% of the ocean we've never explored? What if some of the terrifying sea monsters from ancient legends weren't just stories, but were inspired by real creatures hiding in those depths? Today, we're diving into 10 legendary sea beings that turned out to have real-world origins. 4 of them appeared in earlier videos, but 6 are brand new additions, so make sure you stay until the end, because the most shocking ones are saved for last. Number 10. Kraken. For centuries, dating back to at least the 1100s, sailors and coastal communities shared chilling tales of the Kraken, a colossal sea beast resembling a monstrous squid. The legend is believed to have started around the waters of Norway, Iceland, and Greenland. According to these stories, this enormous creature had massive tentacles capable of seizing whales or crushing entire ships. It wasn't just the attacks that terrified people. The Kraken was said to drag vessels beneath the surface and generate powerful whirlpools that swallowed everything in sight. Like many ancient legends, the story likely grew more dramatic over time. Still, one of the earliest recorded sightings dates to 1180. Back then, sailors had no knowledge of giant squid. So when something enormous surfaced near their ships, they assumed it was a monstrous predator from the deep. But what if they weren't entirely wrong? In 1853, a massive sea creature washed ashore in Denmark. It was unlike anything people had ever examined closely before, and its appearance strongly resembled the Kraken described in old accounts. From that moment on, scientists began questioning how many species of giant squid exist and how large they can truly grow. Could any of them match the immense size described in those early stories? Consider this. Prehistoric giants like the Megalodon and Nothosaurus were once very real. The largest squid ever recorded measured around 43 feet, or roughly 13 meters. That alone suggests enormous squids are possible. But there's more. In 2011, researchers uncovered fossilized bones of ancient marine reptiles, arranged in a peculiar pattern. Some scientists proposed that only a massive octopus or squid-like creature could have organized them that way. One researcher, Professor Mark McMenamin, spent years arguing that giant squid once existed at extraordinary sizes. He studied fossils of a marine reptile called Shanosaurus, which lived around 200 million years ago. Instead of being scattered randomly, the bones were clustered together. He also observed marks resembling squid, sucker impressions and signs that the creature's neck had been snapped. According to McMenamin, the arrangement resembled how modern octopuses drag prey back to their dens. However, the predator responsible would have needed to measure more than 30 meters in length, over twice as large as any squid ever documented. So was the Kraken real? Possibly. The sailors' terrifying accounts may have been exaggerated, but they might not have been pure fantasy. The deep ocean, still largely unexplored, could once have sheltered, or perhaps still shelters, a creature worthy of the legend. Number 9. Leviathan. Leviathan isn't just a mythical name. In the Bible, it's described as a sea monster, so powerful that no human could control it. What makes this even more intriguing is that massive sea creature legends appear in cultures worldwide. Ancient Greeks wrote about long-necked sea serpents. Sailors from Asia and the Pacific reported enormous shadows gliding beneath dark waters. These civilizations had no contact with each other, yet their descriptions sound remarkably similar. That can't be pure coincidence. Around 50 million years ago, a genuine marine snake known as Paleophis inhabited the oceans. It stretched over 30 feet long, comparable to 4 compact cars lined up, living in warm coastal regions. Its fossilized remains could easily have been discovered by ancient people. But Leviathan may have drawn inspiration from something even more formidable than a snake. There once lived a gigantic prehistoric whale called Leviathan. Its teeth were as long as a human hand, and it preyed on other whales. Some believe it even battled Megalodon and may have won. Scientists named it after the legendary Leviathan for good reason. So Leviathan wasn't born from imagination alone. It was likely inspired by real ocean predators, massive whales and serpentine reptiles that once dominated the seas. And who's to say that something equally terrifying isn't still hidden below? Number 8. Giant sea serpents. Snakes aren't exactly everyone's favorite animals. Now imagine seeing one over a mile long weaving through the ocean. Stories of enormous sea serpents appear across cultures, from the Naga deities of South Asia to Japan's Ryujin to the Norse Jormungand. One particularly unsettling case occurred in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Between 1817 and 1819, dozens of witnesses claimed to have seen a massive creature with a long, snake-like body moving through the water. They insisted it was far too large to be dismissed easily. Skeptics suggest these sightings were misidentifications. Perhaps a basking shark? From certain angles, this 40-foot fish glides in a way that resembles a serpent. In fact, in 1808, a 55-foot carcass washed ashore in Scotland, convincing locals they had found a sea serpent. Another possibility surfaced in 1860 when a supposed serpent washed up in Bermuda. It was later identified as an oarfish, a creature that may be even stranger. Oarfish can grow up to 50 feet long, with slender silver bodies and red, ribbon-like crests. They lack scales and move in a wave-like motion, rarely seen at the surface. Unless sick or dying, they ascend at night to feed, adding to their mysterious reputation. So what did the Gloucester witnesses really see? A basking shark? An oarfish? Or something unknown? At sea, especially in dim light, judging size and distance is incredibly difficult. Still, every report of a long, dark shape twisting through the water keeps the legend alive. At number 7, Naga. You may have heard about snake worship in India and dismissed it as a strange ancient custom. In reality, it stems from deep-rooted mythology. The Naga appears in Hindu and Buddhist traditions dating back thousands of years. These beings are described either as half-human, half-serpent figures, or as enormous multi-headed snakes. According to legend, Nagas protect rivers, springs, treasures, and rainfall. People believed honoring them could bring prosperity, wisdom, and protection from snake bites. Disrespecting them, however, was said to invite floods, droughts, or disease. Even today, serpent worship persists in certain regions of India. Cobras hold special significance. During the festival of Nag Panchami, devotees offer milk to snakes in keeping with ancient traditions. Temples across the country display carvings of hooded serpents, symbolizing this enduring belief. Some historians suggest the myth originated when early communities observed snakes living near water sources. Over time, they personified them as guardians of land and rivers. Eventually, these stories became embedded in ritual and culture. The Naga continues to appear in art and modern media, including television shows like Nagin, where it's portrayed as a mystical shapeshifter. Whether rooted in reality or purely symbolic, the legend still coils tightly around the human imagination. Number 6, Yumibozu. From Japanese folklore comes Yumibozu, a mysterious sea monk feared not for loud attacks, but for eerie stillness. The ocean suddenly becomes calm. The wind dies. The waves flatten. That quiet moment is when danger begins. Without warning, a massive surge rises from the sea, swallowing ships whole. Some legends say that after appearing, Yumibozu politely requests a bucket. If sailors hand over an ordinary one, it calmly fills the vessel with water until it sinks. The only escape? Offer a bottomless bucket to stall it long enough to flee. Descriptions vary. Sometimes it towers above masts. Other times it looms like a mountain emerging from fog. In certain stories, snake-like arms extend from its shadowy form. Smaller versions are said to attack in groups. Regardless of its shape, its presence signals doom. Today, Yumibozu appears in anime, films, comics, and games. Science considers it folklore. Yet when the sea falls silent and mist thickens, sailors remember, calm waters can be a warning. Number 5, Moby Dick. Moby Dick may seem like pure fiction, but its roots lie in brutal reality. On November 20, 1820, the American whaling ship Essex was struck by a massive sperm whale in the Pacific Ocean. The impact sank the ship, leaving 20 crew members stranded in small boats. As weeks passed, starvation and dehydration pushed them to desperation. After 89 days adrift, only 5 survived, and they endured cannibalism to stay alive. Herman Melville's novel wasn't conjured from imagination alone. He drew heavily from real 19th century whaling accounts. Whales weren't defenseless victims. Some fought back fiercely. Sailors spoke of enraged whales ramming ships or dragging them under. One legend told of an enormous white whale roaming the Pacific, ghostly pale and dangerously intelligent. It was said to attack vessels deliberately. That story inspired Melville's creation. His Moby Dick symbolized not fantasy, but nature retaliating against human greed. Number 4, Agapogo. In British Columbia's Lake Okanagan, a long-standing mystery persists. Agapogo, often called Canada's version of the Loch Ness Monster, is described as a dark green or black serpent between 15 and 25 meters long. Witnesses say it has a thick body, a horse-like or horned head, and moves in smooth humps across the water, leaving a foamy trail. The first widely reported sighting occurred in 1926, when several people claimed to see a strange form gliding through the lake. Since then, blurry photographs, shaky footage, and countless testimonies have kept the story alive. In the 1980s, a $1 million reward was offered for definitive proof. Greenpeace even suggested the creature be protected as though it were endangered. Meanwhile, the city of Kelowna embraced the legend, erecting a playful statue that contrasts with the fear it once inspired. Scientists argue the sightings can be explained by waves, lighting effects, or floating debris. Yet no one has conclusively proven the creature exists, or that it doesn't. Every ripple on the lake's surface renews the mystery. Number 3. Cthulhu. Cthulhu, introduced in a 1928 horror story, is depicted as a terrifying oceanic entity lurking in the abyss. But long before fiction imagined such beings, real sea monsters dominated ancient oceans. One was Tusiteuthis, a giant squid-like predator reaching about 40 feet long. It possessed an internal shell that gave it strength and speed. It hunted massive fish and even juvenile marine reptiles. Like many prehistoric giants, it vanished after the asteroid impact 66 million years ago. Cthulhu is fictional, but creatures of comparable scale truly existed. And considering we've explored only about 5% of the ocean, it's fair to wonder what else may be hidden in the darkness. Number 2. Nixie. Originating in Scandinavian and German folklore, the Nixie is typically portrayed as a woman connected to water. Her form varies. Some stories describe her as elderly, with greenish skin, mossy hair, and algae-covered teeth. Others present her as beautiful yet tinged with an unnatural green hue. While swimming, she may have a fish tail, but on land she appears human, except her clothing is always drenched. Known as water spirits, nymphs, or even mermaids, Nixies share traits with many aquatic legends. Unlike typical mermaids, the Nixie's myth stretches back further and is tied to ancient rituals. She is said to lure people with enchanting songs. Some tales claim she demands yearly sacrifices, others tell of her falling in love with humans. For centuries, northern European fishermen claimed to see mysterious women rising from lakes and rivers, vanishing upon approach. In some regions, villagers left offerings to appease these spirits. Historians suggest the stories may stem from misidentified animals or unexplained sightings. Still, similar descriptions appear across time and geography, fueling belief that something inspired them. Number 1. El Gran Maja. Among modern sea legends, one creature has recently surfaced. Online is perhaps the most frightening yet, El Gran Maja, allegedly dwelling deep within the Arctic Ocean, beyond the reach of sunlight. It is described as stretching over 2,000 feet long, comparable to 6 football fields placed end to end. Its mouth is said to be lined with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth, large enough to engulf a whale whole. 6 glowing white eyes are said to shine through total darkness. Interest grew when researchers recorded strange underwater sounds in the Arctic. Scientists attributed them to shifting ice, but others believed the noises were biological. One story claims that during a deep-sea expedition, a massive shadow passed the camera large enough to block the light. The footage was never released, and crew members reportedly refused to return to sea. Is El Gran Maja real? There's no scientific evidence supporting it, yet the Arctic depths remain largely unexplored. In a place defined by darkness, isolation, and strange sounds, legends thrive easily. Until every corner of the ocean is fully explored, El Gran Maja remains suspended between myth and possibility. Perhaps it's only a story, or perhaps it's the ocean's greatest secret. And El Gran Maja is just one example. Countless other creatures were once dismissed as fantasy, only to be proven real. Click here to discover more and get ready to rethink everything you assumed was just a myth.